Hi, I'm Deb Antonick, and today I'm going to show you how to stamp your images with acrylic paint as opposed to using ink pads. What you need is very simply just some makeup sponges. You can pick them up at your local dollar store or drugstore. Another option is a little brayer. This is a little 2.5-inch brayer that I pick up at my local craft store. You can use any brayer, and just acrylic paint. And the nice thing about acrylic paint is that we can actually use lots of fun different colors, which I'm going to show you today. So to get your paint onto your image, I've taken this image from, this is the Tranquil Rose, one of the new stamp sets, and I put it on my acrylic block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some black on a palette. So you're going to need a palette paper or a flat surface to take your paint off of, because you need to have that nice flat surface to roll your brayer over. So I'm going to show you today 3 different ways. So it's black paint. So first, I'll show you how we take the brayer. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of paint off to the side, and I'm going to roll my brayer through it. And all we're doing, the brayer is just a hard surface, so the paint actually just coats all the sides. It doesn't really, it's not soaking into anything. And when we put it onto the surface, it's also not spreading the paint around. The paint is just coming off, and it's going to adhere to where the surface, highest parts of the surface. So now by doing that, I've got my paint on there, and I can put my image down. And this is just a piece of mixed media paper. A little added pressure. And there's a nice, beautiful, crisp image. To clean your stamp off, you're going to want to use baby wipes, because it's acrylic paint, so it's going to come off, and it also will build up. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning between colors, and just with a baby wipe. When I'm finished stamping, I will take my stamps to the sink and give them a wash with lukewarm water and a little bit of either brush cleaning soap or a little bit of dish soap. And if I find that I've let them sit too long and the paint is dried, what I will often do is just let them soak in a little bowl of water with dish soap as well. So the next option, with your brayer as well, you clean your brayer off with a baby wipe as well. So that keeps it nice and clean. It's okay that it's discolored. The brayer has a lot of multiple uses as well, so I always like having one in my paint bin. And then we'll set that aside. The next is these little makeup sponges. And I love these because they are they're super cheap, and you can use so many different ones. Oh, and you can take the tops off as well and cut them and use them until they get like really short. So for the makeup sponge, I'm going to go into my paint and I'm going to pounce. And I want to load my makeup sponge up quite good. It needs to be fairly juicy, so I'm watching for it to start to soak up into the sponge. That will show me that it does have paint in it. And I usually will work with a puddle that is at least the size of a quarter, because we do need that paint to start absorbing. And then I'll just pounce my surface. And it's okay that it's grabbing down below, because it's still not going to transfer. The makeup sponge just puts a little bit more paint on here, but in actuality, it will stamp just as clean an image. So stamping now. Again, a little bit of pressure. There. Once again, a nice crisp image. It's not quite as dark as the first one, only because I didn't put as much pressure. And then again, I'm going to wipe my stamp off with my baby wipe. And this is why I wash them after. It's because the paint is in there, and I want to keep my stamps nice and clean. Okay, so that's that. I'll often use just a cheap sponge like so. These are handy as well. You can pick these up at your local craft store. And sometimes, if we don't have makeup sponges, we might have these in our bin. So once again, pounce into the paint. See, now I don't have quite as much paint, and I want to get more paint on here, so I'm going to put more on my palette. So it still needs to be able to absorb. And again, pounce right in there. See? Then it's always all loaded as well. And I'm going to pounce again. And you don't want to put a lot of pressure. You just want to pounce very softly, like you don't want to pounce it down really hard because the paint is sticking to the highest points of the stamp, and that's all you want it to do. And even if you do see paint down in there into the grooves, it's not going to transfer onto your paper. But you also don't want big gobs of paint either, because those will transfer and you'll get a big globby mess. So again, put some pressure. There, once again, a nice, beautiful, clean image. Clean my stamp. So now the fun thing about using the acrylic paints, or any of your acrylic paints, doesn't matter which brand you use. I'm a DecoArt. I like my DecoArt paint. So now what's really fun, I'm going to put that one aside because it does still have some black. And I'm going to get out, I think I'm going to get this really cute little butterfly out of here. Do some rainbow butterflies. So with the acrylic paints is what's really fun is we can take all of these makeup sponges and we can take different colors of paint. So I'm going to put out a little puddle. And because these are empty sponges, I do actually need to put at least a quarter size drop of paint on, just once to get these sponges loaded to begin with. Once these little stamping sponges are loaded, then you don't need as much paint to reload them. So I've got 3 nice little puddles there on camera right there. And I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to load it up. I'm going to pounce it out just like I did the other ones. And what's really neat about these is once they're loaded and you're working fairly fast, is I'm just going to leave it in the paint. I'm going to get all my sponges ready. And again, I'm loading them up so that the paint is absorbing. And the pink. So now I've got a fair bit of paint on here. So I'm just going to leave them sitting in the ink like that so I can actually work very quickly. Take my little butterfly and I'm going to do some rainbow colored butterflies. So stamp with the blue. And it's okay that there's a fair bit of paint on there, as long as we don't, ooze it into there. And I'm going to stamp on paper. Isn't that pretty? Get a cute little blue butterfly. I'm going to clean this off. And I'm going to go into the green. Same, just pounce it. Pretty green butterfly. And a pink butterfly. Isn't that pretty? And then, just to be fun, I'm going to show you how we're going to load this up in rainbow colors. Because that's another option that you will have, is you can load your stamp up with several colors when you're doing this as well. So take my butterfly off to the side, and I'm going to make this flower rainbow colors. So say I'm going to do the outer flower petals with blue, and I think I'll do the leaves with green. And I'm not going to make this perfect, it's just kind of show you that we can make whimsical fun colors on here. And I'm going to do my flower in pink. And the nice thing about working with paint, and even with the ink if you decide, is you can actually stamp on wood pieces as well. This is just a wooden board. And I've painted it solid with light buttermilk. Put my pressure down. And I've got a bunch of pretty colors. There. So that's it. That is a very quick and easy, very simple way to stamp with your acrylic paints.